When people are asked to draw the ideal male physique, something interesting happens, no matter who's doing the drawing or what their style is. Whether it's detailed and artistic or simple and straightforward, the results always point to the same thing: 8 key muscle groups that stand out every time. The face barely matters. It's these muscles that create the look of size, and if you want to look more muscular fast, these are the areas you need to start training smarter.
Nice drawing, Picasso, but most importantly, we all want to know, how do you do it?
I'm glad you asked. Okay, so if we're going to start, we start from the top down. We're talking about the traps, because the traps are essentially an extension of one's neck. And a bigger neck is known to be, even subconsciously, more attractive because it draws in more masculinity. It gives you the appearance of more masculinity. You've got a nice big neck, Jesse.
Oh,
but how do we do it? With one of 2 exercises. The first one is something we call a trap pull. So you set up a cable machine like this. You take that underhanded thumbs up grip on the rope, not the overhanded grip that I don't like when we do a face pull. Then what we're going to do is we're going to shrug up there. You could get it right into your traps there, and then continue the shrug as we row back. So as you're rowing, you're going to squeeze your traps up on top of it. You feel that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So it's a row and a shrug. Starts with the shrug, then it rows up. And again, the point here is to go heavy. You've got the ability to go heavy here because you can row the weight up even further. But you want to feel that squeeze. If you're not doing the first initial pull, you're not going to feel it best. This exercise is amazing, but like I said, it's only one of 2. The second exercise is a variation of something we call a Meadows row. So John Meadows, great colleague of mine who passed away, he had an exercise named after him. That's how well it worked. But we knew with the Meadows row, if we let our elbow drift to the side, out wide, we would get more of the upper back development. But you can actually turn this into that upper back, mid upper back, and upper trap by doing a couple things. The first thing is you actually keep your arms straight and just shrug the weight up at the same time. So it's part row and then part shrug. You're actually kind of in this first portion of it, shrugging and rowing at the same time. Straight arm first, that's the shrug, and then go right into the row. It's very similar to what we just did there with the cable, but it's got a different effect. And you get a really good stretch down here in the bottom as long as you keep the plates off the floor. So one of the things that John Meadows actually did a lot of times when he did his row was he only used a 25-pound plate. Why? Because it made the bar go lower to the floor rather than the 45-pound that we have here. Right. If you can handle the stretch, then go for the stretch, but that's how you want to start building up those big upper traps on your way to a much bigger looking body. Okay, continuing on down, now we can't go any further without first stopping at the delts. Each of the people that drew those pictures in the beginning did a big capped delt. Why? Because the wider your shoulders are, the more width you have in that ratio from your shoulders to your waist that we know is actually incredibly important. Did you know, Jesse, that people who have a wider shoulder to waist ratio have sex at an earlier age and have more partners?
I did not know that.
You probably should have started doing these a lot sooner.
Oh, wow.
All right, so now here's the first exercise. We call it a hip hugger, okay? So you're gonna take a heavier than normal weight. What's nice is it actually sets up the second exercise I'm gonna show you here. With this weight, all you're gonna look to do is basically put yourself in the bottom of a dip. What would you look like in the bottom? Just like that, right? What that's doing is driving your elbows back behind your body into extension. What that does is it works the rear delts. So if you want to get bigger, wider delts, you better work on your rear delts too, because that provides the depth. Not so much the front delts. A lot of people have development there. If you don't, you do need to work those, contrary to what some people will say. But we don't always have good development either in the middle or rear delt. So you drive your elbows back. The second thing it does by trying to get yourself to the bottom of a dip is it opens up some width. Just turn a little bit at the top of the rep to this side so they can see what I'm talking about. Up here, you see the width out here? That's basically creating the abduction of the arm that we are familiar with when we're trying to do a lateral raise. Do you feel that?
Oh yeah.
So all you're trying to do here is drag the dumbbells up. That's where the name hip hugger comes from. Drag them up close to the sides and you're good to go. That brings us to the next exercise. Hold on one sec. Yeah. It's good because it basically uses the same weight, roughly, that you would use on that exercise. So heavier than normal for a lateral raise. What do you typically use for a lateral raise?
About 20.
Okay, so you're about 45 here, right? We're gonna get to a strict lateral raise, but we do a cheat lateral first. How do you do it? You grab a heavier weight. Now, I don't care if you get a little bit momentum here. You brace yourself, you cheat that weight up, there you go, and you try to slow it down just like that. The eccentric is where we're really driving the gains here. Drive it up and then slow it down on the way down. Almost try to freeze the dumbbell in space, even though it's not gonna do that. Doing it this way does not compromise the health of your shoulder. especially if you're keeping that elbow down a little bit and the arm trying to go back, the hand trying to go back behind your body. But what it does is it gives you that heavier eccentric load that we know can drive gains. Now, as soon as you're done and you go to failure there, I wouldn't necessarily stop. Here's where I like to take a much lighter weight. Here, Jesse has 10 pounds, and immediately go into a drop set of a strict lateral raise. But I can make it even more strict by having you go halfway down and go back up again. That's a 1.5 rep. So you're reinitiating the repetition once the momentum would seem like it's out of the lift. No, now you got to stop it and go back in the opposite direction. So it forces that middle delt to do all the work. And again, done in drop set fashion here, it's a really good effective combination for widening out those delts and of course creating that visual look that's so important to looking bigger. As we continue to work ourselves down the physique, we have to stop, of course, at the chest, but not just the chest. We're talking about the upper chest, because if there's one area that is lagging on most men, it's the upper chest, which is that shelf. When viewed from the side, that actually gives you some depth to your chest. Also, if you're wearing a V-cut t-shirt, you actually see that upper chest development, which is kind of a telltale sign they actually train your chest. So what do we want to do this? The first thing is what we call a thumbs up dumbbell incline bench press. Notable things to see here. First of all, the incline is not that high. It's only about 30 degrees. You don't want to start to tilt this thing too high, 45 or 60 degrees, because you start to focus too much on the front delt. So now what we do is we get the dumbbells in place and we work on our target point first. Too often, people go ahead and press up, they press too far out in front of them. So you're almost catching the dumbbells as they roll down a hill, and the only way to catch them is with your front delts. Take that away from your front delts. Instead, go over your eyes with the dumbbells at the very least. If anything more, you can actually go even a little past your eyes, just like that. Once you get there, you'll automatically feel that upper chest contracting. Now, what's the thumbs up portion of it? Go ahead and do a rep, Jesse. Turn them a little bit more into this position here. Yep. As you come up, you tilt the thumbs upward, right? You tilt them up to allow your hands, the inner portion of your hands, to get closer to each other. Because the adduction gets a little bit limited when you have dumbbells that face each other. Go ahead with a neutral grip with the dumbbells facing each other. Go to the top. You limit the space and the adduction you can get because the dumbbells bang into each other. But if you turn them just slightly and then tilt up, now you actually can get them closer to each other. And when you do that, you get more, one more rep, more adduction. Again, target up over your eyes. Finish high, even a little higher than that. One more. Go down, target up here, over your eyes. There's your eye. There you go. Feel that? Yep. That's where you want to finish. Make sure you're finishing high enough, and again, with that little tilt, and you're definitely going to have something to work with. So to hit that upper chest, we've got another option here. And interestingly, there's a new book called In Your Face, The New Science of Human Attraction. Guess what women said, Jesse, when they want to talk about a development of a chest?
What's that?
They're not looking for big muscular man boobs or even just kind of fat man boobs. They're looking for a more squared off, muscular chisel chest. Okay, so you want to focus on chiseling out the chest. This is where we're going to do it. If you take an exercise like this actually is a modification of something I call the UCV raise that some people have a problem stabilizing. If you do it down here on a bench, it's very easy to make sure you're staying in the right position. You sort of side lie onto the bench, so you're leaning onto this side that you're going to train. If you're going to train your right upper pec, then this is the side you're going to lean onto. Your foot goes up on the bench over there for stability. Do you feel pretty stable? Yeah. Your elbow is just simply holding on to this at about a 90-degree angle, just allowing it to drive straight down to the floor. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're just going to reach your arm up overhead towards the ceiling. And you feel that, right?
Oh, I'm lighting up.
So you get that upper chest. Why? Because we're getting that low to high positioning that we need to engage those upper chest fibers that run in this direction. Anytime you can mimic the direction of the fibers or follow the fibers, like I say, you're going to hit that muscle more effectively. And the upper chest fibers run exactly in this direction. You don't have to weight this very heavy. You're nice and stable here. You just think about driving the hands straight up to the ceiling, and the rest will take care of itself. Again, another option if you want to start to square out those pecs as opposed to just making those big, saggy man boobs you might have right now, or even worse, just sort of that big boulder chest with no definition. Got an interesting one here for you, Jesse.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, so we're talking about back, right? Okay. That V taper. Did you know that there was actually a study done at the National Academy of Sciences that back broadness, or that V taper, actually mattered more to 79% of the women polled than either their height or endowment.
All right, let's fix things that we can fix, not things I can't fix.
I know that. That's why I'm giving you an opportunity here. Right. I know that you're a lost cause in other areas. Let's make sure we can widen out the back. To widen out the back, guys, we're talking about two exercises we can do right here from a high cable. And the first one is a straight arm push down, but we're doing it from a kneeling position. The reason why is because we want to get a better stretch, and we have more range of motion because we're not in that standing position limited to something in this, like this height. We can go way above our head here to get more of that lat stretch. So you sit back onto your heels, you get a good arch in your low back, and then you bring your arms down in a big arcing motion on the way down until you finish with your elbows tight to your side. You feel that, right?
Oh yeah.
The big problem here is people don't want to do a straight arm push down. They want to cheat the straight arm push down, and in doing so, they take away the whole function of the exercise in targeting of the lats. Because what they start to do is as they come down, they pull the elbows in, they bend them. Don't bend the elbows ever. Because what will happen then is now you're going to try to straight arm push down that through about the next 30 degrees, and then you'll pick up again in straight arm. But you put yourself in a cheat position, and you're taking away the effectiveness. So what I want you to do is handle the weight that you can handle, go in that big arcing motion, make sure you keep them straight, try to paint the wall in front of you. And then when you get down to the bottom, drive the elbows into your sides until you feel that good squeeze in the lats because your arms are adducted tightly to your sides. Feel it?
Yo.
All right, next one, come up to the top. We just attach a different handle. Here now, all we have to do is put a straight arm handle in, or a regular D handle like this. And now we're gonna do a variation of a pull down. But there's a difference here in what you're trying to feel. The one arm variation of the pull down, you start with one knee up in front of you like this, cool, and you get into even more of a lunge that way, left leg back further. I want to create a big stretch in through here because if I can separate the pelvis from the upper arm here, then I can get a really good stretch on the lats. From here, what I do is I drive down and I follow it kind of with my head, I watch it, which allows me to tuck it down into my pocket, tuck the elbow down into the pocket, which is really just adducting the arm tight to your side. You feel that?
Oh.
Literally my favorite exercise is the standing one arm variation of this when I want to be a little bit more athletic and get my lower body involved. But when I'm just looking for straight hypertrophy or lat width, I want to do one here where I could take away all the lower body contribution and force the lats to do the job. Again, big, huge stretch at the top, follow it down with your head, get down into that tight position down next to your waist, come back up to the top. Again, you can then open up the body that way and then come back down one more time, drive it. Again, this combination here done in a simple high pulley station gives you two really effective exercises if you do them right for widening out those lats and then overcoming your shortcomings, Jesse.
Oh man.
Next stop, we work ourselves down and we have to stop here at the arms. And guess what? It doesn't even matter if you're in short sleeves or not. Women actually say that they can see the arms through the shirt, so you're not escaping poor arm development. Now, the good thing is women actually find comfort in the fact that a man can pick them up, right?
Is that like a safety thing?
Or other things, but safety is a good starting point. So why not figure out a way that you could actually train your arms in a more efficient way? There's a lot of things you could do, curls, close grip bench press, a lot of things we covered, chin-ups, right? But if there's a good efficient way that we can do it with a pair of dumbbells, it's this right here. So we set up an incline bench, and usually the exercises that you do here in this superset can actually handle the same amount of weight proportionally between the biceps and the triceps. But we do an incline curl. Most importantly, you gotta do these right. So we see a lot of extreme variations of this that are completely unnecessary. Once your arm is in this position here, it's back behind the body by about 30 degrees. That is plenty of stretch to get on the biceps in this position if you're looking to get a stretch to kind of create a stronger contraction. If you want to increase this a little bit more, all you have to do at the bottom, Jesse, is turn your wrist over into that pronation all the way, and then you get more of a stretch on the biceps simply by doing that. And then you try to contract the tricep just like that, an active contraction to really get a stretch on the biceps. Then you come straight up out of that position and you curl it up. Go down a couple more reps. So there you go, you get that good contraction on the way down, come back out, you get that pronation on the bottom to enhance the stretch. You don't want to hang out in that stretch for too long at the bottom if you're looking to get that stretch reflex to get a better contraction on the rep. Good, now let's say you go all the way to failure there. All you have to do is reposition yourself on the bench, so now you stand, anchor your feet down low against the bottom of the bench. Now your head and upper body are off the edge of the bench, and now you simply perform this tricep extension. And what's nice here is you get that really good stretch. We always talk about it on the long head of the tricep, which is the thickest, meatiest part of the tricep and the area that's most capable of being built. And again, what's nice about the weight here is usually what you can handle for 10 to 12 reps on the incline curl is gonna be the same weight that you can handle here on this extension. Now, if you really wanna be a psycho, what you could do is when you get to failure there, drop one of them, go grab the other dumbbell with two hands, let the elbows flare out a little bit to the side, and now sort of rep out in the same way with half the weight. So you have the opportunity to go to and through failure with one simple superset that hits both the biceps and the triceps, and it makes whoever in your life is looking for those bigger arms happy. So whether you wear no sleeves or short sleeves, there's one area of your arms that aren't really getting hidden often, unless you got long sleeves on. We're talking about your forearms. As a matter of fact, Sylvester Stallone said he always trains his neck and his forearms because they're always visible no matter what he's wearing. So if you want to start to have a more appealing physique or a stronger looking physique, you got to start training your forearms. One of my favorite ways to do it is actually here with this cable machine. It gives a really good contraction and feel to a curl, a wrist curl, that a lot of times people don't feel that much when they're just doing the standard version on the bench. So all you do here is you just set up a simple D handle here, or a little single arm handle, and then all you're gonna do is carry it in your distal fingers. So let it roll up to the top of your fingers, keeping your elbows stationary, and now what you do is you just curl down with the fingers first, and then down into the forearm. You feel that? So you're getting all of the flexors of the fingers, because that's actually part of the muscles of the forearm, and then you're getting into that wrist flexion, which finishes off that. So you're getting both elements there. If you just do wrist flexion, you're limiting the amount of muscles that you train in your forearm on this underside here, because we're ignoring sort of the finger flexors too. So you let it go into the distal part of your fingers, you curl down, and you do this exercise really slowly, because I want you to feel it. Each piece go down really slow, right there through the finger flexors, then it gets into the fist, and then it goes down into that contraction. You can feel that right there. Looks good. It's like basically hard as a rock, right? All right, so now that's only one half though of the forearms, right? You got the side and the back here too that we need to develop, and for that, we simply just connect a different bar, just a straight bar that you use for a straight arm push down, or tricep push down. And now here, we're gonna perform a variation of, I guess, a cable curl, but this is a reverse cable curl with a focus on the back side of the forearms. And to do that, do a regular reverse curl. You do that, you keep it a neutral forearm the whole time, or a neutral wrist the entire time. Instead, for this exercise, what I want you to do is lead first with wrist extension, just like that. So curl back to get those extensors on the back side of your forearm. Then you continue to finish that up just to about there to hit that muscle here in your forearm, the brachioradialis, right? And including some of the smaller extensors that run in a distal portion of your wrist and forearm. So you go back and down. So you're basically lifting up and extending at the same time, just like that. Lead with extension, and then keep it going and try to extend even more as you get to the top. You feel it lighten up here?
Lightweight, baby.
Yeah, that's right. It is. Lightweight is all that's needed here if you do this right. Again, a lot of times when you're trying to create hypertrophy of a muscle, it's not about all the time how much weight you can use, but can you direct a lot of force into the muscles you're trying to build? And miraculously, when you actually do, maybe sometimes even for the first time, you're driving force into the muscles that actually provides a stimulus for them to grow, and then good things start to happen. So it should come as no surprise that the abs are on the list when it comes to what you want to develop if you want to look better, right?
Makes sense.
However, there was actually a study done at Western Illinois University, shout out to the Leathernecks, don't ask me how I know that, Jesse. Years of betting on college basketball taught me a lot of the mascots of who's who, right? But anyway, that's an aside. We talk about the abs being a focal point because they are. They're literally right here in your midsection. On top of that, there's actually a book by Gordon Patzer, Looks, They Matter More Than You Ever Imagined. And guess what they found?
What's that? That
women actually find themselves more attracted to men with abs because not only do they look good, but because they're a scientific indicator of fertility. Right? Those that carry higher levels of body fat actually usually have lower levels of testosterone. So it's sort of a subconscious trigger that people might be responding to, all right? But we just have to make sure that we train them. One of my favorite ways to do it is here, first with the crunch pull down. Why? Because I do believe that if you want your abs to pop, you can train them with weights, but you have to do the right exercise and you have to do them the right way. Too many people screw this up. Watch how to do this properly, and I promise you, you'll never get it wrong again. You want to make sure that once you set up in this position, your hips never change position. They don't sit back, Jesse, sit back as they go down. Because all you're doing is just using your own body weight to pull the weight down. You're not letting your abs actually do the work. The focus and the role of the abs is to be able to flex the spine under load. So if I can take this and really round out and flex, but without letting my hips drop backwards, well, then I'm doing things properly. If I go back here behind Jesse and I put my leg over here and I give him sort of a target point, I don't want you to touch my leg. okay? So come straight up from here. You get a good stretch on the abs from there. Go straight down. Don't let that ass come backwards. There you go. Perfect. You don't ever want to have that backward travel of the hips if you want to do the exercise right. The fact is you can load up on this exercise, and again, the overload, because you're finally adding weight to ab exercises that you really usually do without weight, gives you good stimulus to start to develop them, and as you drop those body fat levels down, then things start to really look good. But that's not quite it, because there's a second exercise that you can do for your abs that more effectively targets the lower abs, and that is a thing that's possible because the fibers there can be preferentially basically favored by focusing on exercises that move the bottom up towards the top rather than what we just did, the top down towards the bottom. We do it with some variation, if possible, of a hanging leg raise. Now, I know it might be difficult for some. If you have the ability to hang from a bar for even 30 seconds, then you have the ability to do an ab exercise like this. What dictates what's tough about this or not is whether you keep your legs straight, which is more weight to lift, or whether you keep your legs bent, which is going to be an easier variation. I would suggest that you start bent. The focus though, the main thing you need to do to get this right is try to think about what your butt's doing, okay? All I care about is not really what the legs are doing other than setting up the exercise, but really what the butt's doing. I want the butt to curl. I want you to be able to see your ass if you had a mirror in front of you, or somebody standing here, or you guys watching. You need to be able to see Jesse's backside, as tough as it might be for some, to see that each and every repetition if you want to know that you're doing it right. So one more, bend it, curl under, get that there. Why is that important? Because you're getting to a posterior tilt, you're actually getting that flexion of the spine that we talked about was so important there. And if you do it every time you do this, you're gonna have a lot of success. The other thing you can do is always use the captain's chair, where you simply sit in there with the arms supported. So if you don't have the strength to hold on, you can do it in that position. However, everything else stays the same. You still want to get the mechanics of getting your butt curled under, even though you're not necessarily hanging from a bar. And so no tour around the body is going to be complete without taking at least one little turn around the corner and making sure that the posterior chain is actually done too, right? And we've paid some attention to the glutes. And guys, there really is a couple effective exercises here that really do a really good job of hitting the area. The first one is a barbell hip thrust. So now I have a couple tips though that make this exercise more doable for people, because a lot of people don't like the exercise. They feel like it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable because you're either crushing your junk with the bar, right? Or you're simply just letting the bar drive down into your bony hips and it doesn't feel good. What you want to do is push down your hands into your thighs. So that upper area of your thighs, just past the junk, is where you want to push your hands forward. It's going to drive the bar into your thighs and give you some stability. That's the first thing. The second thing is you got to get through full hip extension. So not just, kind of close or 2 to 3 inches shy, but all the way up as high as you possibly can get until your body is as straight as a board from your chest to your abdomen down to your thighs. You can stop for a second, Jesse. Of course, you have experience with another exercise that actually built a really good juicy booty.
For my booty cheeks, I love the deadlift.
So the deadlift, of course, guys, you can see Jesse doing it here. We actually just talked about this exercise and all the benefits of it. It's a great hinge exercise that drives superior gains to the backside because of all the extreme load that you're able to handle on the exercise. So no matter which way you draw it up, guys, or how you slice it, there are certain areas that are non-negotiable when it comes to developing a more attractive looking physique. And again, when you do it, you can look bigger even at lower body weights. I'll tell you something else, looking leaner is also gonna make you look a hell of a lot bigger. It's one of the big secrets here at ATHLEAN-X. The leaner you are, the bigger you look. You can actually get a complete meal plan and workout plan that makes sure that you check both of those boxes off over at athleanx.com. I hope you found the video helpful, guys. Make sure you leave your comments and also click subscribe, turn your notifications so you never miss a video when we put one out. All right, guys, see you soon. Good luck building up that body of yours. Jesse, you're a lost cause. Aww.